Hey folks, before we get started, I just want to remind you to follow Sky Alert USA so you don't miss this video or any of our future updates. If you find our coverage helpful, please support us by subscribing, liking and dropping a comment. It really helps us out and we appreciate every single one of you. Good day everyone. This is Sky Alert USA, bringing you the most critical weather developments affecting the United States and Canada on Monday, December 15th, 2024. Today's weather story is nothing short of extraordinary, with multiple severe weather events simultaneously impacting millions of people across North America. From catastrophic flooding in the Pacific Northwest to dangerous Arctic conditions sweeping across the eastern United States and record-breaking lake-effect snow burying communities around the Great Lakes, this is truly a historic weather situation demanding your immediate attention. The Pacific Northwest flooding crisis, a catastrophic situation. Let me begin with what emergency officials are calling one of the most catastrophic flooding events in Washington state history. The Pacific Northwest is experiencing an unprecedented natural disaster that has forced tens of thousands of people from their homes and is threatening to reshape entire communities. This is not your typical winter storm. This is a life-threatening emergency that continues to evolve hour by hour. Back-to-back atmospheric rivers have absolutely pummeled western Washington over the past week, dumping extraordinary amounts of rainfall that have caused rivers to surge to levels never seen in recorded history. Governor Bob Ferguson declared a statewide emergency on December 11th and activated the National Guard, with approximately 300 service members deployed to assist with rescue operations and evacuations. The scale of this disaster is staggering. At its peak, more than 100,000 Washington residents were under evacuation orders, though that number has since decreased to approximately 27,000 as some rivers begin to recede. The Skagit River, which flows through one of Washington's most productive agricultural regions, has shattered all previous flood records. In the town of Concrete, the river crested Thursday morning at an astounding 48 feet. That's 4 to 6 feet higher than the previous record set back in 2003. In Mount Vernon, the Skagit peaked at over 42 feet on Friday morning, again crushing the previous record of 33.11 feet. These aren't just numbers on a chart. We're talking about entire neighborhoods submerged, critical infrastructure destroyed, and agricultural lands that may take years or even decades to recover. But the Skagit isn't alone. The Cedar River at Renton, the Snohomish River at Snohomish, and the Nooksack River at North Cedarville have all set new all-time record water levels. Emergency responders have conducted more than 250 water rescues across the state, pulling people from flooded homes, stranded vehicles, and dangerous situations. These have included dramatic rescues of mobility-impaired residents who couldn't evacuate on their own, families trapped in apartment buildings, and even people whose cars were swept away by rapidly rising waters. The damage extends far beyond flooded homes. More than 20 major highways remain closed across 11 counties, including a nearly 50-mile stretch of U.S. Highway 2, a critical east-west route through the state with no easy detours. Amtrak has suspended train service between Seattle and Vancouver through at least Friday due to the flooding Skagit River. Entire communities have been cut off from the outside world by mudslides and road closures, with some areas accessible only by helicopter or boat. What makes this situation even more concerning is that another atmospheric river is bearing down on the region as we speak. While not expected to be quite as powerful as last week's storms, this new system will bring additional heavy rainfall Monday through Wednesday, and that rain will be falling on already saturated ground and swollen rivers. The National Weather Service warns that even moderate rainfall could trigger renewed flooding, flash floods and dangerous mudslides, particularly in areas affected by the massive Pioneer Fire of 2024, which left the landscape extremely vulnerable to debris flows. The remote community of Stehekin, tucked 50 miles up Lake Chelan and accessible only by boat or aircraft, is already under evacuation orders in preparation for the incoming rain. Residents there are dealing with the aftermath of powerful floods and debris slides that have torn apart the town's infrastructure, and officials warn that unstable slopes could slide again with new precipitation. The situation across western Washington remains fluid and dangerous, with emergency management officials urging residents to heed evacuation orders and avoid any unnecessary travel in affected areas. Governor Ferguson has requested expedited federal emergency assistance, and Washington's congressional delegation, both Democrats and Republicans, have sent a bipartisan letter to President Trump urging immediate federal action. The letter notes that in Skagit County alone, more than half the county's population has been affected by evacuation orders, and the county is bracing for significant loss of life and infrastructure damage, with full recovery expected to take years or even decades. California has deployed approximately 150 emergency personnel to Washington to assist with flood relief, including swiftwater rescue teams and urban search and rescue task forces, demonstrating the severity of the situation and the need for regional cooperation. Arctic blast grips the eastern United States. While the Pacific Northwest battles record flooding, the eastern two-thirds of the United States is experiencing the coldest temperatures of the season so far. An Arctic air mass that plunged southward from Canada over the weekend has brought dangerously cold conditions to millions of Americans from the northern plains all the way to the Gulf Coast. On this Monday morning, December 15th, temperatures across much of the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast are running 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit below typical December values. Cities that have borne the brunt of this extreme cold include Duluth, Minnesota, and Green Bay, Wisconsin, where temperatures have been averaging more than 12 degrees below normal for the month. The combination of frigid temperatures and blustery winds has created AccuWeather real field temperatures as low as -5 to -10 degrees in some locations, cold enough to cause frostbite on exposed skin within just minutes. Cold weather advisories have been issued from the Ohio Valley down through the northern Gulf Coast and into the southeastern United States. This is not just uncomfortable cold. These are dangerous, potentially life-threatening conditions, especially for outdoor workers, children waiting for school buses in the morning, and anyone without adequate shelter. Emergency officials are urging residents to check on elderly neighbors, bring pets indoors, and ensure their homes are properly heated. The AccuWeather forecasting team emphasizes that this cold snap poses real risks beyond just discomfort. Hypothermia can set in quickly in these conditions, and vehicles that break down can become death traps if drivers aren't prepared with emergency supplies. The National Weather Service is strongly advising people to stay inside when possible, and if you must go out, to dress in layers, cover all exposed skin, and limit your time outdoors. The good news, and there is some good news, is that this Arctic blast won't last indefinitely. As we move through the week ahead, high-pressure systems will shift and a warming trend is expected to develop. By the middle to latter part of this week, temperatures should moderate significantly across the plains, Great Lakes, and Northeast. Many locations that have been experiencing single-digit highs will see temperatures return to the upper 20s to 40s Fahrenheit, still winter-like but far more tolerable. This warming trend is expected to continue into the Christmas week, bringing welcome relief to those who have endured days of bone-chilling cold. However, meteorologists caution that this warming trend comes with a trade-off. The milder temperatures expected later this month could dash hopes for a white Christmas in many areas, as existing snow cover in parts of the Midwest may melt and not survive until December 25th. For those dreaming of a traditional snowy holiday season, this might be disappointing news, but for communities struggling with the impacts of extreme cold, the warming will be very welcome indeed. Record lake effect. Snow around the Great Lakes. The collision of this Arctic air mass with the record warm waters of the Great Lakes has triggered one of the most significant lake effect snow events in recent memory. Starting in late November and continuing through early December, relentless bands of heavy snow have just buried communities downwind of the Great Lakes, with some locations receiving truly astronomical snowfall totals. The numbers are simply staggering. From November 28th through December 8th, Cattaraugus, New York received over 6 feet of snow. Barnes Corners, New York saw 65.5 inches, that's more than 5.5 feet. Sites in Pennsylvania, Ohio and Michigan recorded totals exceeding 60 inches from multiple lake effect events. Erie, Pennsylvania broke its all-time single-day snowfall record on November 29th with 22.6 inches, the most snow ever recorded in a 24-hour period since record-keeping began way back in 1893. For perspective, that's more snow in one day than many southern cities see in an entire decade. These aren't just impressive statistics. They're numbers that have real serious impacts on people's lives. The weight of the snow has caused roofs to collapse in northern Ohio. Over 30,000 customers lost power in central Ontario due to the storm. Major highways have been repeatedly shut down, stranding motorists and creating nightmarish travel conditions. In some communities, snow has been falling at rates of 2 to 4 inches per hour for sustained periods, overwhelming efforts to keep roads clear even in places that are well accustomed to heavy snow. Here, on Monday, December 15th, lake effect snow continues to impact the region, though the most intense bands have shifted and weakened compared to the peak of the storm. Additional accumulations today and into Tuesday are expected to be heaviest over the eastern Upper Peninsula of Michigan, northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York, and especially the Tug Hill Plateau, an area famous for its prodigious snowfall totals. The Weather Prediction Center indicates probabilities are highest for at least 4 additional inches of snow in these areas, with locally higher amounts possible where heavy bands set up and persist. What's driving this extraordinary lake effect snow event? The answer lies beneath the surface of the Great Lakes themselves. 4 of the 5 Great Lakes, Michigan, Huron, Erie and Ontario, had record high average surface temperatures as of early December, compared to the 30-year satellite record maintained by NOAA's Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory. Even Lake Superior, while not at a record high, was running about 3 degrees Fahrenheit above its long-term average. These exceptionally warm water temperatures are the result of the record warm fall season combined with a notably warm winter in 2023 to 2024. When Arctic air moves across these warm lake waters, the temperature difference between the water and the air above it increases dramatically, which is the perfect recipe for intense lake-effect snow. The warmer the water, the more moisture and energy is available to fuel these snow bands. Scientists at NOAA note that Great Lakes water temperatures have been warming over the past 30 years as part of broader climate trends, and this warming has significant implications for lake-effect snow patterns. Paradoxically, warmer lakes can actually produce more intense snowfall events under the right atmospheric conditions. Exactly what we've been witnessing. The impacts of this relentless snow extend beyond transportation disruptions and power outages. States of emergency have been declared in multiple counties across New York and Pennsylvania. The National Guard has been mobilized to assist with stranded drivers and provide support to snowbound communities. Schools have been closed for extended periods. Even the Buffalo Bills NFL team had to ask fans to help shovel snow out of Highmark Stadium before their game against the San Francisco 49ers. As we continue through December, the forecast calls for lake-effect snow to remain a threat whenever cold winds blow across the still warm Great Lakes waters. The North American Ice Service predicts that ice conditions this winter will be below normal on Lakes Superior, Michigan, Huron, and Erie, with only Lake Ontario expected to have near-normal ice coverage. This means the lakes will remain open and available to generate lake-effect snow for a longer portion of the winter season, potentially leading to additional significant snow events in the weeks and months ahead. 3-day forecast. What to expect. Looking ahead to the next 72 hours, the weather pattern remains active and potentially dangerous across multiple regions of the United States and Canada. For Monday, December 15th, the focus remains on the Pacific Northwest, where heavy rain continues to fall, particularly across Idaho's Panhandle and eastern Washington. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a marginal risk for excessive rainfall in these areas, with concerns about additional flooding on top of the catastrophic conditions that already exist. Rivers that experienced record flooding last week remain dangerously swollen, and any additional significant rainfall could push them back toward major flood stage. Across the eastern United States, the Arctic cold persists, with high temperatures only reaching the teens across North Dakota and northern Minnesota, and the 30s across southern Illinois, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Lake-effect snow continues downwind of the Great Lakes, with the heaviest snow east of Lakes Erie and Ontario. Tuesday, December 16th, brings a continuation of the atmospheric river impacts to the Pacific Northwest. The focus of heavy rainfall is expected to gradually shift southward into northern California and southwestern Oregon, areas that did not receive as much rain from the previous atmospheric river. This could actually be beneficial in some ways, as it spreads the precipitation over a larger area rather than concentrating it all on already flooded regions. However, the Weather Prediction Center maintains a marginal risk for excessive rainfall over parts of the Pacific Northwest and far northwestern California, as even moderate amounts of rain could trigger problems on saturated ground. The cold weather in the eastern United States begins to moderate slightly on Tuesday, though temperatures will still be below normal for mid-December. Lake-effect snow tapers off across much of the Great Lakes region as wind directions become less favorable for intense snowband development. By Wednesday, December 17th, the atmospheric river affecting the Pacific Northwest begins to weaken, though some lingering showers are expected to continue across Washington, Oregon, and northern California. The excessive rainfall threat diminishes, allowing rivers to slowly begin receding, though many will remain in flood stage. Across the central and eastern United States, high pressure builds in, bringing generally quiet weather conditions and continued moderating temperatures. While it will still feel like winter, the dangerous, bone-chilling cold of the weekend and Monday will have largely dissipated by midweek. Looking further ahead into late December, the forecast pattern shows a general continuation of the warming trend across much of the United States. This means that areas from the plains through the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Northeast and Mid-Atlantic can expect temperatures running closer to seasonal averages or even above normal as we approach Christmas week. While this will bring welcome relief from the recent extreme cold, it also means that snow cover in many areas may melt, reducing the chances for a white Christmas in locations that might normally expect one. Severe weather warnings and alerts. As of Monday morning, December 15th, 2024, several critical weather warnings and alerts remain in effect across the United States. In Washington state, flood warnings continue for numerous rivers, including the Skagit, Snohomish, Cedar, and Nooksack rivers. While water levels are gradually receding from their record peaks, many rivers remain at major or moderate flood stage. Flash flood watches are in effect for portions of western Washington, Oregon, and Idaho as the new atmospheric river approaches. Residents in flood-prone areas should remain vigilant and be prepared to evacuate quickly if conditions deteriorate. Across the Great Lakes region, lake-effect snow warnings remain in effect through Tuesday evening for portions of western and northern New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, and northeastern Ohio. Winter weather advisories cover additional areas of Michigan. These warnings indicate that heavy snow will continue, with additional accumulations of 8 to 20 inches possible in the most heavily affected areas. Travel will remain extremely difficult to impossible in these zones. Cold weather advisories stretch from the Ohio Valley down through the Tennessee Valley and into parts of the Gulf Coast and southeast. While not as severe as a wind chill warning, these advisories indicate that cold temperatures pose a threat to vulnerable populations and anyone spending extended time outdoors. Residents are advised to dress appropriately and check on neighbors who may need assistance. Looking at the severe weather outlook for the next several days, the Storm Prediction Center indicates that the risk for tornadoes, damaging winds, and severe thunderstorms is very low across the continental United States. This is typical for mid-December, when severe convective weather is rare due to the position of the jet stream and the lack of significant warmth and instability. Climate context and long-term implications. The extreme weather events we're witnessing today don't exist in isolation. They're part of broader patterns and trends that scientists have been documenting and predicting for years. The catastrophic flooding in Washington state, while triggered by natural atmospheric river events that have always occurred, is being exacerbated by climate change in several ways. Washington state climatologist Guillaume Mauger noted that while neither of last week's atmospheric rivers individually delivered record-breaking amounts of rain, having two arrive back-to-back overwhelmed the region's rivers and has provided what he called a sneak peek into our warmer future. The science is clear, Mauger stated, that floods are going to become larger and more frequent in the coming years and decades. Atmospheric rivers are expected to carry more moisture in a warming world, making them capable of producing more rain and snow. They're also projected to arrive more frequently and last longer as Earth's climate continues to warm. Similarly, the record warm water temperatures in the Great Lakes are not a one-time anomaly, but part of a long-term warming trend. NOAA scientists have documented that Great Lakes water temperatures have been rising over the past 30 years. This warming has multiple effects on the regional climate, including the potential for more intense lake-effect snow events when Arctic air masses do push south. It also affects lake ice formation, shipping seasons, water quality, and the aquatic ecosystems that millions of people depend on for their livelihoods. The extreme temperature swings we're experiencing, from dangerous Arctic cold to well above average warmth within the span of a single week, are also consistent with patterns scientists expect in a changing climate. While it may seem counterintuitive, global warming doesn't mean every place gets warmer all the time. Instead, it means more energy in the atmosphere, which can lead to more extreme weather variability, including both record-breaking cold snaps and record-breaking heat. Safety recommendations and preparedness. Given the severity of the current weather situation, it's crucial that everyone in affected areas takes appropriate precautions. Here are the most important safety recommendations for those in flood-affected or flood-threatened areas. First and foremost, heed evacuation orders immediately. When officials tell you to leave, leave. Your life is worth more than any possessions. Do not attempt to drive through flooded roadways. Turn around, don't drown. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock you down, and 1 foot of moving water can sweep away most vehicles. If you're trapped by rising water, get to the highest point possible and call 911. Have an emergency kit prepared with food, water, medications, important documents and supplies for at least 72 hours. For those dealing with extreme cold, dress in layers and cover all exposed skin when going outside. Frostbite can occur in minutes at the temperatures many areas are experiencing. Check on elderly neighbours and those without adequate heating. Bring pets indoors and ensure outdoor animals have adequate shelter. Never use generators, grills, or other fuel-burning equipment indoors as they produce deadly carbon monoxide. If you must travel, keep an emergency kit in your vehicle with blankets, water, snacks, a flashlight, and a phone charger. For those in heavy snow areas, avoid unnecessary travel when lake-effect snow is intense. If you must drive, go slowly and allow extra following distance. Keep your gas tank at least half full. Clear snow from your vehicle's exhaust pipe before starting the engine to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Be careful when shoveling snow. It's strenuous work that can trigger heart attacks, especially in people with existing heart conditions. Take frequent breaks and stay hydrated. Everyone should stay informed by monitoring local news, weather forecasts, and emergency management communications. Sign up for emergency alerts from your county or state emergency management agency. Follow the National Weather Service on social media for the latest warnings and updates. Have multiple ways to receive weather information, as power outages can disable some communication systems. Conclusion. December 15th, 2024 stands as a stark reminder of nature's awesome power and the challenges we face in an era of more extreme weather. From the catastrophic flooding devastating communities across the Pacific Northwest to the dangerous Arctic cold gripping the eastern United States, and from the record-breaking lake-effect snow burying the Great Lakes region to the additional atmospheric rivers bearing down on vulnerable areas, this is truly an unprecedented weather situation affecting millions of people across North America. The next several days remain critical, particularly for Washington state, where additional rainfall could renew flooding dangers, and for communities around the Great Lakes, where heavy snow